Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I got some parts here that go with the hood. Got to get them cleaned up, get them painted. So let's have a look. So what have I got? I got the hinges off the parts truck. Need to go in the parts washer and get all this old oil and grease off of them so they're cleaner. Go over them with a wire wheel, get the rust off, and paint them the same color as the underside of the hood. I got parts in this bag. They're part of the latch assembly, and they need to go in the media blaster and get cleaned up. I also got the grill support here, and the hood latch opening mechanism that goes in here. Get the rust all off of that, and this will probably just get painted in some black aerosol rust paint, like trim clad or whatever I can find at the hardware store. So time to get busy. Okay, so got the parts cleaner running here. I got Barsol in it, a solvent, which is basically a solvent cleaner. You're not supposed to run that in these little things. You're supposed to run a water-based cleaning solution, but you know, they really kind of suck. So outside, let that run. Later on, I'll get like a little brush and start cleaning it up. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't catch fire. Yeah, so that's cleaned up pretty good. I'm gonna throw it in here with this other one. And this 5-gallon pail of soap and water. Let them soak for a while. Okay, so the hood hinges are all washed, dried, and then I sprayed some lacquer thinners on them, wiped them off with a towel. So those are good for now. Just gonna move on to the grill frame here. Take it apart. I already got it separated, just gotta take it apart, and I'm gonna go over the surface with just some 80 grit on the DA, get all the loose bits off. So this frame's cleaned up, not too bad. There is a few issues. There's a hole there, there's one down there, there's another one over there, there's one over there. There's all, I think, 5 little holes in it that need repaired. They're not really a structural issue, but they need a repair nonetheless. I may crack out the old TIG welder and some bronze rod and fill those in. Okay, bronze welded that one. Didn't work out so good. I believe that's regular weld on that one, and that's stainless on that one. So I tried some varieties of rod. Problem is there's rust scale on the inside of the tube, so as you try to weld, it just kind of explodes. I kind of expected that, but I was hoping I'd have better luck with low amps on the TIG welder as opposed to hitting that with the MIG welder, because it definitely would just explode. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my losses. I'm just going to tap these edges down here so they're kind of buckled in, kind of like that is there. And I just put some fiberglass on them, clean them up, and it'll be fine because the piece is solid. It just has some minor holes in it. Now, a small blaster box like this comes in pretty handy for cleaning up little intricate pieces like these that would normally be hard to sand. Okay guys, nothing fancy. Just hung a chain across the rafter. Them hanging off of wires. Got this hanging off of wire, the grill frame here. These are getting painted in black. So I wiped them off with some wax and grease remover. I'm gonna spray on a quick coat of the Transtar 2 and 1, and then follow that up with some hardware store gloss rust paint. And I'll have to reduce this probably 1 part paint to 1.5 part acetone so I can shoot it in the minigun. Okay guys, so even though this is just a little job, I'll still be wearing my paint respirator. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Just a little light dust coat is all these parts really need. You notice I didn't do here. This isn't really a big issue there. The paint's still on it. A little bit of bare metal there, and obviously bare metal up there. Yeah, just a dust coat. Let that sit for about 10 minutes. And spray on some of that gloss black hardware store paint. Okay guys, nothing special about this minigun. It's basically the cheapest thing you can buy. Use up a little bit of paint. I guess so. So let's have a quick look. Not too bad. Just a quick coat. Got it all covered up nice. Kind of why I put that gray aerosol primer on. It just kind of gives you the same base color to work off of, so you know you got things coated up. So this is gonna stay sticky for a while, so I'll come back in about a half hour, give that another coat, and then we'll have a look at it after. Okay guys, next morning now. These are handleable touch dry parts, nicely cured. They're not perfectly dry, like there's, you know, if you scratch them with your fingernail, you definitely leave some marks, but they are touch dry, because they'll take a couple days to get good and hard, like I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to take these parts down to the tarp shed, hang them up down there, and get on the hinges. Hinges are hung on the chain with a minimal amount of prep. I hit some of the rusty bolt heads and stuff with a wire wheel on the cordless drill. Went over the face of the springs with the wire wheel on the cordless drill. Sanded out, paint run in the primer from the factory on both these hinges in the same spot for some reason. Then just scuffed it with Scotch-Brite and wiped it down with wax and grease remover and a shop towel. So there's not a lot of prep going on here. Now, you guys probably figured out by now, the inside of the hood is a different color than the outside. So in order to keep things matching, these need to be painted in that same lighter gray. Okay guys, I'm all out of that regular TranStar Signature Series sealer. So I'm going to go with epoxy primer sealer. Now, if you want this to just be a primer to put on parts, to preserve them till you get around to working on them, it mixes at 1 part epoxy, 1 part catalyst. But if you want to use it as a sealer, it's 1 part epoxy, 1 part catalyst, and a half of a part of good quality base coat reducer. So let me get this mixed up in the gun and we'll spray it. Now, I was very surprised mixing the epoxy into a sealer as recommended, how thin it became. I don't know if you guys noticed when I put the first coat on, it was pretty much transparent. So I put a second coat on and it is still quite transparent, but it is covered. So thank goodness they're just some hinges. I'll let this cure for about a half hour and then get some base coat ready. Alright guys, got my paint and the spray it gun. You can see that stuff's pretty thin, so I'm going to be putting down a whole bunch of thin coats, because believe me, if I didn't have to use this up, I wouldn't. Okay, so like 5 ridiculous coats of base here to get some coverage, and the last coat went on pretty wet, so I'm gonna be letting this set for, God, probably an hour and a half. I want this to get dry. And so that being said, um, when I sprayed the underside of the hood, it must have been that gray sealer that helped help the color coat, because I put 3 coats down and it covered up pretty good. So yeah, the lady made an awful mistake mixing this paint. But anyway, I'm using it up little by little. Okay, so I've got the first coat of clear down, looking pretty good. Believe it or not, it's only been a few minutes, and I did the finger test on the back, and this is already ready for the second coat. I don't know what it is with this new clear that I'm using. I started using it last year, but it cures really fast. I mean, it's the perfect day, 70 degrees. And like I said, I just put it down. It's only been a couple minutes and it's already passing the sticky test, ready for another coat. Now, I just got done here. I ended up, I had enough clear in the gun to get around these one more time. But the funny thing is, like I mentioned earlier, it's not exactly hot in here. It's very, very comfortable in here. Like, let me show you the thermometer here. We're at like 72 degrees. I mean, it is perfectly perfect in here. But this clear coat is supposed to sit for like 10 minutes between coats. It's on the can. And I'm using the medium activator, but this stuff was ready by the touch tack. You know, you touch it and you leave a fingerprint, but you don't pull a string off. That type of a test. It was ready in like 3 minutes to have its second coat on. So I just banged the second coat, waited a couple minutes, and I banged the third coat. So we'll have a see here once I get the gun all cleaned up, and this has a chance to dry down after a couple hours, and see just what happens. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, like weirdness going on. I got the door open now, get some air in here. It's been a half hour since I shot the clear, and it's touch dry. I mean, it's not sticky. I mean, you can shove your finger in it if you wanted to, but it's dry enough you can actually touch it and not leave a fingerprint if you just lightly touch it. And I just shot this like half hour ago. I never had this issue last year using this clear, so I'm not sure what the deal is here. Okay, so outside here, hanging off the lip of the door, okay, and they're looking a little bit bare in places. Like the base coat did not cover
as well as it should for like 5 coats. So I don't think I'll be using that base coat on anything anymore. Now, like I said, like 5 coats of base, lots of dry time, and then I socked 3 coats of clear on here. And now what I'm looking for is solvent pop. I would expect to see some solvent pop with all that base and all that clear that went down, but it appears that they are, just nice and shiny. So I got to accept what I have here, and that these a bunch of these small parts are done. So hopefully now, soon, I can at least get the hood put on the project truck. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and until the next one, always peace.